No two donors are created equal. What I mean is, you only have so many hours in the day. You only have so much time to focus on your donor relationships. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to spend the bulk of your time chasing after $18 donors. And also, even for major donors, not all major donors are created equal. Some major donors will be interested in what you have to offer, and some of them won't. If a donor is interested in saving the whales and you are a Jewish day school, then chances are you'd be barking up the wrong tree if you're spending a lot of time and energy on a donor who cares about saving the whales or giving to art museums. So the question really comes down to is, how do you identify donors who are right for your organization and then prioritize your time for those individuals? There is a best practice that exists in the nonprofit space that basically creates different criteria of what you would look at for a particular donor in order to determine if they're right for your organization and how much time you should spend on them. There are different versions of this, but of course it's always an acronym. The one that we like to use is Linkage, Ability, and Inclination. Linkage is how connected are they to you and your organization. Ability is, do they have capacity? Do they have financial ability to make a real difference with your organization? And number three is inclination. Are they inclined? Do they share the values that your organization shares? For example, as I mentioned, if your organization is a Jewish day school and this prospective donor cares about saving the whales, then they're not going to rank very high on inclination. Based on those three criteria, you would create a weighted scoring system in order to determine how worthwhile this prospect is for you to focus on. So if you were to create a 1 out of 5 scale for linkage, ability, and inclination, and then you take every one of your prospects and say, on a scale of 1 to 5, how linked are they to the organization? If they're very linked, they get a 5. If they're not linked at all, they maybe get a 1. And do the same exercise for ability and inclination. And what this will do for you is two things. One is it'll tell you who the lowest hanging fruit are. The ones who care about your mission, the ones who have the ability to make a big financial commitment, and the ones who are as closely connected to you as possible. That'll tell you who are going to be the ones that are primed and ready for a solicitation. But not only does it tell you who you should focus on as the lowest hanging fruit, but it also tells you where you need to be emphasizing to make a difference. So if you have donors who are low on linkage, you could say, what will it take for me to create a stronger linkage to this person? So if we're going to re-score them in 1 year from now, how would I get their linkage to move up from a 2 to a 4 or to a 5? Or if I see that they are low on inclination, how can I educate a particular donor in order to move that up over time? So it tells you not only who to focus on in the here and now for fundraising, but it also gives you some direction on how you can cultivate individual donors to be able to move them up and make them a better prospect for your organization. Obviously, capacity isn't necessarily in your hands. You don't have the ability to say to them, well, they're only worth X amount of money, but if this kind of work that I do, I can help them make a lot more money. That's not necessarily within your control. However, if you use this system, you'll be able to start evaluating who you're going to focus on and how you spend your time. Also, once you have direction on which way you want to go with these donors, because you've scored them and you know who you're going to focus on, it gives you the opportunity, as I mentioned just a moment ago, to reevaluate them each year to say, who should I be focusing on this year? That kind of introspection and saying, how am I using my time? Who am I developing relationships? What's it going to take to move those relationships along? It's a very good exercise to go through, usually in the summer when things might be a little slower, when your donors might be traveling. It might be the month of August when everyone's away or kids are in camp and people are busy with family stuff. That might be a good time to kind of go into the office, whether you're a one-man show or one-woman show, or you have a team, to say, it's time to rescore, reevaluate our donor prospects and see what should we do with them for the coming year. And this will also help you set direction on your different campaigns that you do, the parlor meetings that you do, all the different activities you do throughout the year. If you have a handle on what you're going to be doing with your donors from the perspective of building them up and growing them, it will also help inform how you treat them throughout the year. Who gets honored at the next dinner? Who takes on a leadership position? And who is going to be able to open doors for prospective donors that are 1 degree of separation? Who are those people that might be at capacity, but because they have strong linkage and ability, they might be inclined to open up their doors and host a parlor meeting for their friends and family. So all that is an outgrowth from being able to do proper donor identification and evaluation through linkage, ability, and inclination. Thanks a lot.